Hello everyone, for this little video I wanted to talk to you about pencil pressure and how that affects our blends. One of the things we're often told with coloured pencil is to keep our layers light, but for different people being light with your layers can mean different things. So I've developed a few little exercises that can really help you understand this at a deeper level and help you have the control and get the subtlety with your colours that maybe you're looking for. So a little test to see how heavily do you apply pressure naturally or how lightly is just to write your name on the paper. It's my name. How much pressure do you naturally use? There is probably about a middle range pressure, and I can test it. Just get a little eraser, and if I rub it off, oops, how much have I indented the paper? So if I press really hard, naturally, so it's going to be a lot more tricky. You see, the paper's actually indented. I can't really erase it as easily as I could with my natural pencil pressure. So if you're really not sure about, am I being really heavy, that's just a really simple little test to see what you do without any sort of adjustment or conscious thought on your part. Okay, so you've established whether your tendency to be heavy or light. And I just wanted to show you, so what we often do is just keep that pressure constant as we draw. So what will happen, I've just got a selection here of Polychromos pencils of going from the Brown Ochre to the burnt Sienna, burnt Umber to dark Sepia. So these are what colours I'll often use when I'm doing my animal art. And often I want them to have a nice soft blend between. But what can happen if you keep your pencil pressure the same? I'm just going to apply Brown Ochre. I'm just using like a mid-range pressure. Let's change to a burnt Sienna. Now my aim is that the colours blend together. What can happen? You end up with hard edges and divisions between the colour. You can see, it's not a lovely soft blend between the two, well, there's four actually, different colours. So if that's the effect you want the stripes and the variants, and that's fine. But if you want it to look soft and gradually, in the way that an animal's coat, with the light hits, will gradually shift from one colour to another, that's not going to be the result that's going to give you that. And often what people will do is I'll put the colour down this and then they'll add blenders to try and blend them together. And that can have varying results. I much prefer to actually address the issue in the first place with how I put my pencils on the paper. Just move that a little bit. So what I do basically is I apply my pencils, but I use varying pressure. So I've got here the burnt umber, and I'm going to start, I'm holding the pencil, so writing pressure is here, you're holding quite near the point of the pencil. You want to apply more lightly, hold further down the pencil. And I'll hold it more on the side than directly on top, and that will help you get a little lighter. So just want to apply really, really light pressure. As I move across the page, it's going to gradually increase the pressure, start to increase the tone and the value. You can see I'm just adjusting, I'm overlapping slightly to just give softness and coverage that I'm after. But every time I get to a certain point, I'm just going a little bit closer to the end of the pencil. I can start to press a little bit harder. There we go. And you can see there's a much softer, and it's not perfect by any stretch. Test. And this side, and by the time I get to this point, I'm pressing pretty much as hard as though they were pressed with a pencil. You're getting a really smooth coverage, but you're also flattening the tooth. So the idea of lots of light layers is that you preserve the tooth of the paper so you can keep layering. And this paper is a botanical smooth, so it's a very smooth paper. There's not a lot of tooth to it. But if you're light with your layers, you can still get a fair few layers down. Okay, so that just shows you the graduated blends. And if you're new to pencils and you're struggling a little bit with the results you're getting, it could be really good just to practice doing these graduated pressures. And what you can do as well is also, to give yourself a little bit more help, is think, right, can I divide this up? So there's midpoint. So let's divide that into 3. And you divide it as many, it's quite a small one. So you've got a pencil brush of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can divide it any way you want. There's no hard or fast rule. But you can just see, you know, if you're thinking, right, I need a 1 or a 6, there's a big difference in those two colours. Okay, so how does this apply to blending our colours? Well, we've seen at the top what happens if you don't vary your pencil pressure. You can get these hard lines. You would then need to add a blender or a mineral solvent or something to actually get the colours to merge together more softly. What you can do now is, I'm going to start with the lightest colour. So this is my Brown Ochre, sorry. What I'm going to do is just starting with a slightly firmer pressure, and then get a little lighter as I go. So blend it almost to nothing, or layer it almost to nothing. And I want a good coverage, so I'm just doing a couple of layers. See how that goes to almost nothing? Don't want to see any hard lines between the different variances of pressure. When I go to my burnt sienna, these are all polychromos, and start really, really light, and gradually the pressure. Always better to start too light if you're in doubt. So that's starting to blend in. This pencil's just a little bit blunt, but what we'll do for this demonstration. Forwards, building up the tone, and I want it to soften off again to this side. And actually, talking about the bluntness, often we think we want a really sharp pencil point, but when we're doing this sort of blending, having a blunter pencil, see the sort of little flat edges there? They work really well against the paper. Just taking it through. You might decide to go back, whoops, to my burnt ochre. There's a little bit more there. And this is where all the layering comes in. It's not like, okay, this step, next step, and then it's all done. It's using a little bit of judgment. And see how softly that blend is starting to appear here versus the one up here. And if I want this to be really rich, adding more. Centre. And again, notice when I want to apply more pressure, I'm holding a little bit closer to the end of the pencil. Okay, and then we add in the next colour. Same process again. Really light to start with. Blending across. So I'm building the depth of tone by adding more layers rather than just pressing really hard. You get far more subtle. Very rarely would I press as hard as, say, the 5 and the 6 here. That would be the final layers, maybe when I'm putting on some detail at the end. I'm going to be down this end of my graduated pressure. there. I'm probably doing between a 2 and a 3 at the moment. See how softly those colours are all going together. And the final colour, the dark sepia, darkest brown. And I want this to end hard and not end fading out. Start there, and just as I come across, just softening and lifting that brush a little bit. There we go. And these are actually quite fun to do. You can you come up with new colours as well because you're mixing and overlapping. This is how you start to do your colour mixing, and I'll do another video on colour mixing for you, just to give you a little bit of hints and tips. There we go. Let's see how much softer it's looking here than up here. And you can still keep adding in. Okay, some extra lines I don't need. Of course, if you want a stripe, that's absolutely fine. There's loads of occasions that you're going to need a division between your colours, but if you want the blends, this is a really simple way of doing it without having to spend out, you're trying to save a few pennies on extra pencils, blenders, OMS, mineral solvent. I don't like this. Okay. See how soft that is. So this paper is probably not something I'd do a drawing on. It's a little bit smooth for me. It hasn't got quite the tooth I would normally use, but it's good enough just to give you an idea of this. There, and I will just, as a final demo, go with some primaries. So we have here chrome yellow, pale geranium lake, and heliotropia reddish. So again, a little bit. And then we get some different colours going. It's a really vibrant yellow. We've saturated the colour. I'm going to blend it out. And you'll also find it can make a difference which pencil you put down first. So if you're trying to mix your colours, come up with something that isn't in your pencil set, you just practice on a little scrap of paper to make sure you get the blends you want. This is the red going on. There we go. And this is a good test actually to do with the primaries to see how good you are at doing this, or not. The colours, these colours are quite harmonious. They naturally lean them, even with the stripes, they naturally lean themselves. They're in the same colour range. The primaries aren't. And you'll also find different pencils will sort of blend really a little bit better than others. Some are a little bit more opaque, depending on the pigments that are used. And this red's quite translucent, quite pinky. Colour mixing is a whole other subject, so we'll do another video on colour mixing. So that's a bit spotty. This paper is not that helpful actually. It's although it's smooth, it's catching. I'm going to be using this one again. Weirdly, some of the vellums, the slightly more grainy papers, actually give you a better blend than smoother ones. Intuitively, you'd think smoother papers would be much better at blending. I'm looking for that visual blend, so I'm just working backwards and forwards just to get a nice, as nice as possible. I don't think it's going to be brilliant between these two colours. It's a very pinky red. So to have a very yellowy yellow, just a slight bit of green there with the pinky red is going to be quite a challenge to get a really nice blend with pencil. So on the other side, we're going to the other primary, which is the blue. Quite a greeny blue. So again, it's going to be mixing 4 colours here. Really challenge to blend in the others. You want a certain amount of it if you're looking for this blend that's going to be a pure pencil with no overlap. So you're just going backwards and forwards. It's not perfect by any stretch. As you can see, it's made quite a murky purple, and that's because it's a greeny blue with a pinky red, and it's to get a really rich purple, you'd want a reddy blue, a purpley blue with a purpley red. You get your best colours, but we'll do another video on colour mixing. And all will become clear. And that's looking a little better. So it's not the best in the blend with the primaries. They are more challenging if they are opposites, but certainly not impossible. And it's very easy with coloured pencil to think that you need the exact colour in your pencil, when in reality there's a huge rainbow of colours there that are at your disposal. You'll find as well, you get to a point with the layers and it all suddenly does start to look optically correct. I haven't physically blended the pencil together, but visually it's all starting to mesh together. Yeah, this paper is a little odd. It's actually watercolour paper, so that is probably why it's not that happy about coloured pencil. There we go. It gives you an idea anyway. Oops, sliding down. You can see the blends. So we've got our oranges coming. Oops, don't do that. Orange is coming here. I messed that up a little bit. Happens to all of us. Orange is coming there. Pure red, pure blue. And you get the purple and the orange in there. And obviously, if you went round in a circle, you'd get a green effect as well. Well, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a clue about pencil pressure and how that affects our blends. So remember, here, to practice your graduated blends if you're not clear about how they work. And the more you do them, the easier they'll get. And I found if I get people to do this exercise when I'm teaching my workshops, the rest of the day goes a whole lot better. It's something that I've probably always done because of my graphite work, but it isn't instinctive to everybody to do. So just having that little bit of pencil control will really set you up well for your other work. Again, just keeping the pressure the same between colours, you're going to get these lines, the divisions between different tones. Even if you overlap them, you're going to get this join almost. And what you want with your animal art is a lovely soft graduation from one colour to the other that we have here. And slightly not quite so soft with the primaries, but that's the general idea. Okay, I hope that was helpful, and I will put together a little thing on colour maxing for you.